Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. In studio, President of ABC Bank, James Arnold. Welcome back.
Hey, Chad, how are you?
Doing great. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Just wrapping up another year.
Yeah, it is that time, and glad to have you back here to talk about the economy and kind of we'll take a look back on how it was for 2017 and look ahead as well. I guess just overall, how was 2017 for Lubbock?
You know, probably one of the best years economically Lubbock's ever had across all kind of sectors that you look at. You know, just drive up and down Milwaukee Avenue, and it'll tell you that things are hopping in Lubbock. And so there's new hotels popping up. There's new restaurants popping up. Housing is growing, and the market's holding up in terms of value. So if you look at the index, the market index, it hadn't been higher.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Good news. How's the housing? Is it still? Are we still booming housing wise?
We are. When you look at houses that are probably below $250,000, you get into the luxury market above 400. There's a lot of inventory, and a lot of inventory that's not moving. But that's somewhat normal. Those higher priced houses don't move as fast. But you look at a $250,000 house in Lubbock, and if it's priced appropriately, it won't last very long.
Well, and you see those homes moving fast, and you also see apartment buildings going up everywhere. I mean, in all areas of the city, you see apartment buildings going up, and they're not empty.
No, they you see them go up and you see them fill up, and so. I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's probably above 93% occupancy in multifamily today, and that's considered full occupancy. And this is a slow period because it's December, but we still see a lot of activity, and there's a lot on the drawing board for 2018 in Lubbock.
Yeah. You had some good numbers when you came in. You were talking about just the workforce overall in the state of Texas.
Yeah, the jobs report came out this morning from the Texas Workforce Commission, and Texas has the lowest unemployment and the lowest that it's had in the last 40 years for Texas. And so, you know, we had the hurricane, the flooding, and all that, and then rebounding out of that has just been really strong for Texas and the economy. And this tax cut that we hope to get for 18, corporate tax rate drop, I think will do nothing but bolster the economy in Texas and particularly Lubbock.
You know, I think the numbers would surprise people because, like you mentioned, the hurricane that hit, but also when people think Texas, and I know we have a more diversified economy, but people think about oil, and the oil boom is not where it was a few years ago, and the oil industry is not where it was a few years ago, but people still have jobs, and it looks good, and things are going well for the state. I guess that is a credit to the diverse economy that we have, right?
It is big credit to that. But, you know, if you go to the Permian Basin today, it is booming. And they're back to 2012, 2013 traffic and jobs and drilling and activity. It's back to that again. Because what's happened is everybody's consolidated to the Permian Basin. They've closed plants and facilities in Katy. They've closed them in Canada. They've closed them in south of San Antonio. Everybody's gone to the Permian Basin for their activity and their drilling. And it's really you can really see it in the numbers.
Is that having any impact here in Lubbock?
You know, it did. Back in the boom, it did have an impact. You could look at auto sales, and you could talk to auto dealers, and, you know, a third of their customers were coming up from the Permian Basin because there were no inventory. I don't know that we're there yet, but I think we're starting to see some effects of that. You don't have to go very far south until a Mesa or Brownfield, and people are leasing houses again because they got jobs driving trucks in the Permian Basin.
Cotton so far, as far as we know, how did the cotton industry do this year?
I'd say they did okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't catastrophic either. I think guys will be able to pay their notes off at the bank. Maybe put a little bit of money in their pocket, but nobody is high-fiving at the gin. There may be a few guys, but not many. It's just an okay year. You know, the weather cooperated from a moisture standpoint, but not a heat unit standpoint. And so we didn't have a warm, dry fall. We had a cool, dry fall. And so the quality is not as good as it's been in the last few years, but it's still okay.
And I know Congressman Jody Arrington, had him on the show yesterday. He talked about the farm bill, that he's going to be paying a lot of attention to that. I know our ag producers pay a lot of attention to the farm bill. If they can get cotton back into the farm bill, what will that mean for this area, you think?
Well, it means price protection. That's what we want. And because right now cotton's trading at about 62 cents a pound, something like that. It was trading at that, Chad, 20-something years ago, 25 years ago. Well, today a new cotton stripper costs about $775,000. That's what it costs for a new one. You got to farm a lot of acres at 62 cents a pound to pay for that tractor. We need that price to move north and get closer to $1. And so that's what we hope the Farm Bill will do, is take care of our producers in the West Texas area.
This time of year, you've got people who are visiting Lubbock coming in. There's obviously Lubbock has a lot of stuff to do, and you have the shopping here, but also you have a lot of different events that people will come to for Lubbock. How does that affect? How does that impact our economy here just this time of year in particular?
Well, this weekend, it's graduation weekend at Texas Tech.
Sure.
Now, it's not the big one. That's in May, but this is still a big weekend. People are driving around Lubbock, look at restaurants, hotel parking lots, and you'll see a lot of traffic this weekend. People coming in town for graduations today and tomorrow. So it's a big impact, and we're getting to the size of a city where there seems like there's something all the time.
Yeah.
We're not Austin where there's a festival every day, but we have a lot of things going on that fill up our restaurants and our hotels.
I think I moved here in 2001, so I remember during Christmas time and really during the summer, businesses would shut down.
Yeah.
Nobody shuts down now, which is it's a pretty cool thing to see. Just how much students are sticking around during this time of year, but also the city has grown that much to where Christmas and even the summer, it has an impact on the businesses around Texas Tech, but not as much as it used to.
You're exactly right. Lubbock is a big enough size, and that we don't feel the impact as much as we did maybe 10 or 15 years ago. But you do feel it when they come back. You notice when the students are back in session again, and it's good for our economy. It keeps Lubbock young, I think, to have those students here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about tax reform before we look ahead into 2018 and talk about some predictions for 2018. Tax reform looks like it may happen. There may be some roadblocks still, but overall it's looking promising. What does it mean as far as businesses go and small businesses here in Lubbock? What does this tax reform bill mean for those businesses?
Well, it's money to the bottom line. And so that gives business owners the ability to reinvest that capital into their business, maybe do some extra hiring, but it puts money back into our local economy in 2018 that we desperately need. And so I'm excited about it. It impacts banks significantly, and so that'll allow our bank to reinvest in employees, maybe do some more hiring for some people. So it just, bottom line, it puts money back into the economy and back to work.
Have you been surprised? I know nationally we're seeing more people are going to stores. More people, they're shopping on Amazon still. They're shopping on Walmart.com, but they're still going out and people are spending more money. There was an article just the other day that people are spending more money this Christmas than they have the last few. People are feeling better, it seems. Are we seeing that here locally?
Absolutely, we are. We're seeing a lot of consumer confidence on the local level. I talk to automobile dealers in town a lot, and 2017 may be a record year for some. So you're seeing people do large purchases like automobiles. We look at home sales. People are upgrading and going from a $200,000 home to a $300,000 home or whatever. You're seeing people step up in their class and in their cost of living that they're willing to take on.
Yeah, and I think if tax cuts go through, it'll increase even more.
We're hopeful for it. Like we were talking earlier, there's always somebody always kind of falls out of the basket and says, "Well, I may not vote for this now." And then they get that guy back in, and somebody else falls out. So it's critical for that party, for the Republican Party, to get this thing passed. They're 0 for 2 in their major reforms with health care and some other things, and this is a big one.
2018, what do you think is going to happen for Lubbock and West Texas in 2018?
I continue to see more of the same. Lubbock has steadily grown for the last 20 years. We really haven't had a major pullback, but we haven't had any major growth. I mean, we're just slow and steady wins the race, and I think you'll see continued housing growth. We'll continue to see houses being built south and west Lubbock. We'll continue to see 1585 develop out. You may see a groceries chain come to town that's not here right now. There's a lot of things that are kind of on the table or in the pipeline that if they come to fruition will be really exciting.
Do you look when looking ahead and looking at the economy here? I know Mayor Dan Pope has been talking about the extension of I-27, and he wants to get it at least to I-20 as soon as possible. Do you look at that and factor in what that would mean for our economy out here?
Well, I've talked to Dan a little bit about that. I think it'll be good for our economy because now it connects an interstate with what we've got today. Mm-hmm. It completes it. And so now you'll see a lot more goods and services come off of I-35 and onto I-27 to go north and south. So I think it's exciting. It brings some issues with it also that we'll have to deal with just increase people on the highway and traffic. But I think it'd be good, you know.
Obviously, that's long term, but it's something I know city leaders and a lot of people are looking at for the future.
It needs to happen. It really does. It just kind of right now we're incomplete, and we have been since they built it. So I think it's something that'll happen.
Yeah. Tell folks about American Bank of Commerce and what y'all have going on, not only right now, but coming up in 2018.
Yeah. Well, we talk about housing all the time and housing starts. If anybody needs a mortgage, we've got mortgage loan officers at the bank. You can dial 775-5000. And ask for the mortgage department, and we'll plug you into a competitively priced mortgage, 30-year fixed, 15-year fixed, whatever you want. And we're back in the mortgage business.
Yeah, that's great. James, thanks for coming in today.
You bet, Chad. Merry Christmas.
Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll visit with you coming up in January, the new year, 2018.
That's right.
All right.
Happy
Thanks,
New Year.
James.